I'm your host, Sydney B, and welcome to another honeylicious episode of The Social B Show. We're kicking the show off with House Bill 2955. Later, we'll be discussing how we can reshape our communities. And finally, we'll wrap up the show with a few juicy secrets. But before we can get into today's topic, let's cover some hot topics on this thing. College presidents have joined together to support House Bill 2955. Central Washington University President James Guadino, along with a few others, is in favor of the bill. House Bill 2955 creates the free-to-finish college plan to help further the education of students who were not able to finish their education, but were close to earning a degree. Guadino says that based on research, students are most likely to drop out just when they are close to earning their degrees, often because students can no longer afford it. The proposal supports students who are not currently enrolled in college and have 15 credits or fewer from earning their degree or certificate. This $10 million program will cover 5,000 students. A stomach virus outbreak has left many students, staff, and faculty members ill. Ursinus College in Montgomery County canceled classes after 153 students, staff, and faculty members fell ill with the stomach virus. 30 people have reported to hospitals and urgent care to be treated. Local restaurants and businesses have offered to provide meals for students. Dining halls have been shut down to allow Montgomery County Health Department to gather information about the illness and to completely clean and sanitize everything. Health officials say that the illness could have been spread from person to person. The university says that the illness could have come from Wisner Dining Hall, which is where most of the students reported to eating dinner at before they're getting ill. Any student who gets sick is urged to call the school's wellness center or campus security. Wellesley College has named its new president, and what a surprise it is to everyone. Paula Johnson is the first African-American woman to lead the Liberal Arts College for Women. Johnson teaches at Harvard Medical School and is chief of women's health at Birmingham and Women's Hospital. Johnson has been researching how women respond to different diseases and treatments than men do. Johnson founded the Connor Center for Women's Health and Gender Biology. She says that she is honored to be humbled and is asked to serve the Wellesley president. I guess Beyonce is right. Who runs the world? Girls. I know you all wonder how gorgeous the supermodels are planning to keep their hair during their New York Fashion Week. Well, it's a hair growth supplement called Viviscal. Viviscal is a drug-free and contains ammonium, biotin, vitamin C, and iron. It's a great for thinning hair, but also strengthens and promotes growth. Even though we can't all be tall beauties, we can still have model hair. Now, let's toss it to Mike and Drew of the Mike and Drew Sports to hear the latest sports news.
What's up, y'all? I'm Drew, here with Mike from the Mike and Drew Sports Show, bringing you sports at another level.
And today we'll be sharing our top 10 sports moments from the week of February 8th. At number 10, we had LeBron James, who recorded his first triple-double of the season with 21 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and he didn't even play the fourth quarter.
Now, this was LeBron's 40th triple-double of his career, which is first among active players. And it's finally good to see LeBron play with some intensity since he got David Black sniped for Tyronn Lue. And now at number 9, we have Marquise Morris and Archie Goodwin against a game against the Warriors on this past Wednesday. They were involved in a scuffle. But instead of fighting the Warriors, they were actually fighting each other. Now, the Warriors are pretty good. Sometimes they're so good they make you want to slap your moms, but you can't. It's no room for teammates to be out here fighting, man.
Right. None at all. And after the fight, Morris did apologize to Goodwin. Telling him that he was sorry and that he looks at him as a little brother. And that's just one of the issues that the Suns have been dealing with from past weeks after firing their head coach Jeff Hornacek and injury to their two biggest players, Eric Bledsoe and Brandon Knight. And number 8, we have Terrell Owens, one of the greatest receivers in the NFL. Over the past week, he wasn't elected into the Hall of Fame after his first year of eligibility.
And it's crazy because he's number 3 in history in terms of receiving touchdowns, and he's number 2 in history in receiving yards, only behind Jerry Rice. And it's just crazy sometimes how your off the field actions can hinder you what you do can hinder what you do on the field in terms of you not getting in the Hall of Fame. And at number 7, we have Joe Johnson here. Now, Joe Johnson was balling this past game against the Nuggets. Not only did he rock his mans, dropping with a dangerous crossover, he also hit this game-winning shot. Take a look.
And Joe Johnson hit a game winner against the Nuggets, to win 105-104. This is his 5th game winner since he's been playing with the Nuggets, and his 7th since in the last 10 seasons. And that's the most among any active player in the NBA right now. Next up, we have number 6 for the Buffalo Bills running back LaShawn McCoy. He's under investigation for an assault on an off-duty cop in a Philadelphia bar earlier this week.
And sources say the fight started over a champagne bottle, and arrest warrants are supposed to be issued this upcoming week. But in recent history, the NFL had its shares of issues with players getting arrested, as well as other controversial issues plaguing the league. So either Roger Goodell needs some help, or he needs to get gone. And with number 5, we have the Miami Heat. They just announced that they're going to retire Shaquille O'Neal's jersey the beginning of the next season.
All right. And Shaq, not only has he helped Miami win their first NBA championship, he's also one of the 3rd players to get recognition from the Heat, joining Alonzo Mourning and Tim Hardaway. At number 4, we recently had our 50th Super Bowl with the Carolina Panthers and the Denver Broncos. Peyton Manning came away with the win, and we recently seen Cam Newton throwing quite a temper tantrum out on the field. Take a look at this clip here.
Yeah, Cam Newton, he was caught having a couple of fits. Now, we want to commend Cam Newton for stepping to the stage and saying that he's a sore loser, as well as taking that step to say that his team will be back next season. But a few weeks before the Super Bowl, Cam had just said that he's blessed with such a platform, as well as saying that people might be threatened by him by his skin color and being in the position he's in. Therefore, Cam Newton, you have to be better, but there's no doubt in my mind that you will be better. And at number 3, we have the Detroit Pistons retiring Chauncey Billups' jersey.
Chauncey Billups was the MVP of their 04 legendary Pistons team, including players like Tayshaun Prince, Rip Hamilton, Rasheed Wallace, Lindsey Hunter, and many more of the Piston greats. And at number 2, we have Andre Drummond representing our hometown, Detroit. Shout out to the
Stand up.
He'll be representing our team in the All-Star game, his first one, and in the dunk contest.
Yeah, Andre Drummond this season, he's averaging 17 points and 15 rebounds as the Pistons are trying to sneak into that 8th seed in the tough Eastern Conference. But Andre Drummond is our first All-Star in the dunk contest since Jerry Stackhouse in the year 2000. So we want to shout out Andre Drummond for getting in that dunk contest.
Congrats, man. And at number 1, we have our fail of the week. We have a fan who was at the game. And I think he was feeling himself too much. He kind of picked up a girl and kind of fell down the steps. So, take a look at this clip here.
Yeah, he was on tip.
And there you have it. We have our top 10 sports moments of the week.
Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Mike and Drew Show, and visit our website at www.mikeanddrewsports.com to take a look at our podcast, as well as the hottest updates in sports and hip-hop culture. And back to you, Sydney.
And before we can wrap up anything on the sting, we must talk about the Buzzkill of the Week. Cheese, anyone? Wisconsin police have recovered a load of stolen cheese, not once, but twice within the last month. Authorities report that 41 pounds of Parmesan cheese worth $90,000 was first to be stolen from a Marshall Field distributor. Not even 2 whole weeks later, and $70,000 worth of stolen cheddar cheese and other cheeses was retrieved in Milwaukee. Lucky for the distributors, their merchandise was recovered, but as a courtesy to you and to your customers, please don't sell the cheese, especially since we don't even know what that cheese has been through since it was taken. Well, that's all the time that we have on the sting, but before we can get into the tea and honey, let's hear from Treasure and Jabari with The Sizzle.
Treasure.
And I'm Jabari.
And you're watching The Sizzle.
First, I want to thank you for coming on to the social feed interviewing with us. So my first question for you is, how do you view race in American society today?
Well, I think that racial inequality is a huge issue in our society today, although it is getting better. So I see it as kind of like there's a silver lining.
How do we change equality in our community?
I think the first step in changing equality is first admitting that there is a problem, that there is a difference in society between racial groups. I think if we don't step forward and admit that, we're basically turning a blind eye to an issue. So I think in order for us to go forward, we have to come to grips and realize that racism does exist.
I think we can just continue to talk to each other and get to know each other in a personal way rather than just seeing, hey, you're different than me, and I think I'm just going to stay over here with people who are similar to me.
Well, that's all we have today on The Sizzle, and I want to thank you, Taylor, for coming out. And back to you, Sydney.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Racism is still with us, but it's up to our generation to make the change. Prepare and teach our children about what they have to meet, and hopefully we shall overcome. Joining me now for Tea and Honey are Taria Billings, Cornell Pearson, Logan Scott, and Daniel Hamilton. Welcome to the Beehive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How's everyone today?
Excellent.
Wonderful. I'm happy that we are feeling good because this is getting ready to get deep. But it's about to be good, okay? Okay, we ready to kick it off? Alrighty. So, with all the racial tension that's happening today, what are your thoughts on the Black Lives Matter movement?
I'll go first. So I look at it like there's definitely a place for it, for sure. I agree with the whole Black Lives Matter movement. It's just sometimes a few bad apples can spoil a bunch. So the only thing I don't agree with, it has to be handled extremely responsibly every time. There's no place for rioting, no place for bringing down the community. So we all have that responsibility to take it upon ourselves. But there's also a manner to handle it. It shouldn't just be people want to get on the cause. They should actually do some research and know what they're doing and not just want to kind of voice their frustrations over X, Y, and Z. It needs to be a peaceful movement every time, pretty much.
Okay. Anyone else?
Me personally, I'm in support of the movement. I think it's a strong and noble movement. It's this generation's movement. The topic today is being the change you want to see, and I think that that is putting the responsibility in our hands to actually go out and be proactive in creating the change that you want to see. To follow with him, I agree. We do have to be more responsible. I think we have to be more strategic. You just can't go out, like you said, protest and then want to tear up your own cities and then, kind of digress from that strength and that motivation. You gotta channel that somewhere. And I think that comes from being strategic, having an agenda, and being proactive in that agenda.
Okay. Now, who or what do you feel is the root of the problem of the current issue today?
That's a tricky question.
I would say it's a lot of things. It's the social injustice, but I think more than anything, it's kind of like the division of the classes, like how big the gap is with the people that have money and what don't. So like I was saying, a lot of people might just be frustrated and they want to voice those frustrations, but they really mad at their everyday lives. Like they know what's going on, but they don't truly do a lot of research and figure out what would be the best way to change the social injustice. They just mad that, they bills might get, or they bills piling up and they might not have nowhere to stay. So I understand all of that, but at the same time, I don't want to downplay the fact that it is a lot of injustices going on that caused the Black Lives Matter movement.
Most definitely.
It's a two-sided thing, kind of.
Yeah, this is just simply the cry out of a group of people who feel like their voices aren't being heard, and I am for one, and like on that side, like I do feel like sometimes their voices aren't being heard, or injustices do happen because people at the top are not listening to the underrepresented and underprivileged at the bottom.
Okay.
And nobody's doing what we're doing right here. There's no communication, no dialogue between people of different skin colors, which is something that unless we do, we can never make those changes. Unless we listen to each other, we can never make change.
Most definitely, and I'm with that. I'm feeling it. And for us here today, what do you feel like are the drawbacks for those who out there may actually not know? What are the drawbacks of being African American, African, or Black? You look like you got it, Taria.
Okay. I just wanted to say, I don't know if they're, I wouldn't call them drawbacks. I wouldn't say in a way that, because you're Black, you, it's harder for you. I don't know how to say it. Okay, Okay, I don't like when like black people like use their drawbacks as like an excuse. Like and say, oh, I'm black, so I can't do this, or I'll never get this, or I'll never get here or get there. Rather, use, that, like, you have society telling you what you can't do all the time and when you can't go, and use it as a motivation to, prove it wrong and say, maybe I am black. Just because I'm black, that doesn't mean that I can't get to where I want to go.
Okay. So pretty much the drawback is self-pity.
Right.
Pitying within your own, what our ancestors went through and what happened way back when we should look at who you are now and what you can accomplish going forward.
Right. And I'm not saying never forget, your history, but at the same time, don't use your history as an excuse to not move forward.
Okay.
I would say the drawback is it being 2016, 50 plus years after, the civil rights movement, and you still have, African Americans crying out for now what they were crying, what our parents and grandparents were crying out for 50 plus years later. I think most importantly is like, having to fight the same generational battle because of something that is put upon you at no fault of your own. I think that's a drawback of being African American today.
And going off of that, I feel like, we're still like fighting the same battles because we were just oppressed for so long with slavery and then the Jim Crow and segregation and discrimination and all that. And you have all these like obstacles coming our way constantly, and we're still having, obstacles coming our way today, just with racial profiling and job discrimination and things like that. So it's like, even though we get like 2 steps, we're always like 10 steps back because it's always something else. So.
Okay. Now, Logan.
Yeah.
My next question is solely for you. Solely for you. Has there ever been a moment where you have felt that you are more privileged over other races? And if so, why or why not?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Just the fact that I am a white male. I don't ever try to be better than anyone because I know I'm not. Like, we are all equals. We're all human beings. But there are times that just because of the color of my skin and because of my body parts, that people look at me and just say, oh, he's white. Like, I lived in Japan for a year, and there were times that I got away with stuff just because I was white and just because I was a male.
Wow.
So, absolutely. But I am actually sometimes disgusted by that fact, that because of my skin color and because of my body parts, that doesn't make me any better than, anybody that's sitting right next to me.
Okay, I feel it. So, still piggyback off of what you're saying, are there any drawbacks of being, a Caucasian American?
Well, yes and no. Yes could be because sometimes, people will assume that I'm going to be, like, white power or whatever. People are going to assume, that was poor choice of words, but
it's okay.
People are going to assume that just because I'm white that I have this skewed mentality of what, other human beings are. And I guess there really aren't any drawbacks besides, being maybe labeled in a certain category that I don't fall into personally.
Okay. So what can we do? What can we do before we leave here today to break down the racial barriers? What do you all think?
I think it goes based off what that's right here was talking about. He was basically saying, it takes more conversations like this, but not only that, I would appreciate it if, there are a lot of people like him, like a lot of white people that support maybe Black Lives Matter, or even if they don't, they support the cause. They don't want to see injustice to any human being. So I think the biggest thing is for those people to not be scared, or maybe what some other people would think, like, go out and march with everybody else. If it was like, I'm in a business fraternity and it's a lot of black people, we try to get more diversity. I feel like with that diversity, people would be more willing to accept that if they saw people of their own kind doing it. Gotcha. So although it's nice to say, talk about it like, oh, I see this on the TV and I do support that, but just get out and go down there with those people and just really support them, because your support can mean more than anything, like just like him.
Right. Presence is everything.
Right. Exactly. And I think part of it too, like the Black Lives, movement, it's such a important movement But for me personally, I think it's more than just a Black Lives Matter. It's a human lives matter.
Most of
Like
them.
every person, whatever color they are, should be upset and should be offended that people are being discriminated against. So I think that everybody should gather together because it's not just a black person's life, it's a human life.
Okay, point well taken.
And, I feel like we need to learn how to understand each other and learn how to listen to each other and understand different, perspectives. I feel like a lot of the time it's people attacking one another instead of really, listening to like what each other has to say on different opinions and things like that. I know a lot of I've seen like on Facebook and Twitter and stuff, like people just kind of shunning the movement entirely and saying, it shouldn't be Black Lives Matter or I think people take it the wrong way and they say, well, what about everyone else's lives? And Black Lives Matter isn't saying that no one else's lives matter, because that's not true at all. I guess we're saying that, we want to be heard too, and our voices matter too.
I like that you said that, because I hate when I see a video and somebody's like, Black Lives Matter, oh, but all lives matter. It's like, it's not even about that. You shouldn't be combative in that situation at all. And nobody's trying to be saying that other lives don't matter. Like you said, they just want to shed light on that subject.
Yeah. And almost relating to that, I just made a video for CARES. It's a HIV/AIDS prevention center in Kalamazoo.
Okay.
Promoting Black AIDS Awareness Day for Black History Month and stuff. And I saw people commenting, oh, you guys just care about Black AIDS Day. What about everybody else that has AIDS and it affects other races and stuff like that? And I'm like, we know that. Like, I just was appalled by these comments, and they were like, we're following this organization, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it was for Black AIDS Awareness Day, for Black History Month. And I feel like people just, I don't know, it's like when they're not being included, then they feel like,
you're trying to put them down.
Yeah, and that's not it at all. So
I would say, going back to what we said earlier, just communication and listening, being open to other people's perspectives and ideas, but going a step farther and actually, stepping out of your comfort zone, interacting with different races and ethnicities, and understanding, their culture, their perspective, their background, and the struggles that they go through. Because not aside from Black Lives Matter, but in addition, like parallel to it, another race, another minority, another underrepresented group is going through the same, or if not, their own social injustices. So we also have to be, open-minded to listening and lending a caring and genuine ear towards, other marginalized groups and their social injustices, so things like that.
Okay. My floor director is really telling me that I need to wrap this up, but I have to ask this question because it just came to mind. Beyonce's halftime performance. What did you think about it? Okay.
She was Beyonce.
What else? What else? How did you think about
She's an artist. You get
message?
You get freedom of speech. So I feel like if you book somebody and they're doing that, you got to know what they're doing ahead of time. And if you let them do that, then that's up to the person that's doing. That's up to the people who pick the talent. So it's like, I mean, at the end of the day, you're an artist. You're going to have freedom of speech. Just like people can make songs about gay rights. People can make songs about this, that, and the third. She's entitled to her opinion. So I don't see any type of problem with it.
And I didn't even notice anything was wrong until somebody, and I didn't even notice it until somebody said it, but then I was like, it doesn't matter because it was a halftime show.
Okay, and they were flawless, honey.
They were.
Little Black Panther beauties. Okay, slay. You already know. Alrighty. So, unfortunately, we're all out of time, but before we go to break, I have a tease for the bees. A girl who was just learning to drive went down a one-way street, but didn't get in trouble. How is this possible? Tell us your answers on Instagram and Twitter, and even Snapchat at The Social Bee Show, and tag it with hashtag Tease for the Bees. When we return, we'll be uncovering some juicy secrets from our guests. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Welcome back. In the studio with us today, we have Taria Billings, Cornell Pearson, Logan Scott, and Damo Hamilton. And it's time to play Secrets of the Hive. You say you ready for it?
Interesting. I guess so.
No.
Each guest will pull a sentence starter out of the honey pot, this honey pot, and they will use it as a lead-in to tell their secrets. Remember to be honest on the Social B Show, because we love honey in our tea. So you ready for it? Daniel, would you like to start us off? Start us off. Start us.
Can I get it?
I'm sorry. It was a moment. Oh, don't. How you drop our bumblebee?
It's okay.
I'll hold it.
Thank you. Here we go. The most unbelievable thing that ever happened to me was I would have to say
He has a very interesting life. He's
Yep,
in trouble.
he sure does.
perhaps I would probably say just the other day so they don't salt our stairs outside of my apartment, so like they chained it up and I caught myself hopping over the fence and I slipped. I
And fell?
Yes. In my nice shoes though, so yes.
Okay, Taria.
Alright. The lowest.
I don't know.
Score on your test.
The lowest.
Or you can pick a new one.
Yeah.
I thought there were questions.
No, it's a sentence starter.
Sentence starter. Alright. There's nothing I enjoy more than.
Be honest.
The Social B Show.
There's nothing I enjoy more than watching Michael B. Jordan and Creed.
Oh my God! Look, that was serious. Logan.
Let's see. The thing that makes me laugh is I don't know. When people do stupid stuff, it makes me laugh.
Every time.
That's pretty good. Let's see what we got. I am a recent college graduate with a lot of student debt, trying to figure out what I'm gonna do in life.
That is not a secret.
That thing was a secret.
Right. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Scholarship up, right? I could be an athlete.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's academic. You feel me?
Academic.
My bad. My bad. I bust your secret. Okay. So we got some. You have another secret?
Oh no, I just wanted, just in case you want to pull a secret.
You want me to?
Yeah.
Just in case.
Okay, let's see. The funniest thing that ever happened to me was, okay, so of course we live in Michigan, and it's really just like your story, except for I was walking out of my apartment and it was super early in the morning and I was on my way to class.
You tell me about this.
And I seen, because I'm in a business fraternity just like Cornell, and I seen one of my pledge brothers rolling on past, so I was screaming his name Charles, shout out to Charles. And in the midst of me screaming his name, I slipped and fell right in front of his car. And I laugh to this day about it because it was just that moment where you hurry up and fall, but then you bounce back up
But you was in front of the car, so he clearly saw it.
He clearly seen me, and every time he describes the story to people, he always says she was here one moment, and then she was gone the next. I don't know where she went. So I think it's super duper funny. But before we go, I have one thing that we have to do, and that's the Social B trivia. But it's not for us; it's for our audience member, because anyone in the audience has the opportunity to win a free shirt.
Wow!
Mm-hmm.
I want
It's a treat for you all. So, here's the thing. Here's how it goes. I'm just going to read one question. It's going to be very easy since it's our first week. And with that being said, all you have to do is just answer it. It's going to be multiple choice, okay? Are we ready?
Yeah.
All right. So, the question is, when did the Social B show first begin? Is it, wait a second. Is it A, January of 2015, B, June of 2014, or C, September of 2015? Who do we have? She's so happy. What's your name?
Alexis.
Alexis!
And
Hello
it's
there.
A, January 2015, so it's 1 year old.
Yes, we just had our 1 year anniversary. So Alexis, you are the winner of a free shirt. So at the end of the show, you'll get your wonderful, cool shirt, okay?
Thank you.
Look at that. We got that popping. Alrighty. So that's all that we have for you tonight on the Social B Show. But before we go, remember that tease that I left you wonderful bumblebees with before the break? It was a girl who was just learning to drive went down a one-way street, but didn't get in trouble. How was this possible? Anybody want to take a gander at it?
She went the right way down the street.
Okay.
I like that.
She went the wrong way, though.
That's great.
Alrighty, so drum roll, please. Alrighty, so she didn't get in trouble because she was walking. Get it? She was just learning how to drive. Alright. See, that's why it's a brain teaser, because it's like, you never think about it. Alrighty, so thanks to all who played, tweeted, Instagrammed, and Snapchatted us at The Social B Show. We would like to thank our guests for joining us today. Be sure to tune in next Tuesday at 8 p.m. for The Social B Show. And always remember, be honest, be humble, be you. I'm your host, Sydney B. Have a great week.